I hope you have your tea. All right, I'm just trying to make sure I'm live on Instagram. Let's see. All right, it looks like it did it. Hey, sis. All right. Just trying to share this out. And then I will go ahead and get started. All right. Hey, 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 people. Well, I am Armory, your healing coach, and it is time for tea with Armory. So thank you, sis, for joining. Come on in. And for those of you who will catch the replay, don't forget to hashtag replay for me. And so I am Armory, and I position women to heal well, to be whole, and to live in freedom, because I firmly believe that every woman deserves to be healed, deserves to be whole, and deserves to be free in every area of their lives. And so this month, September, can y'all believe September is almost on its way out? Before we know it, we'll be saying Merry Christmas to everybody, right? One of my favorite holidays of the year. We don't know what it's going to look like this year, right? Everything has looked so different in 2020, but I'm happy to be a part of it because I could be on the other side, right? So I'm thankful to be a part of 2020. I don't want to throw it away because 2020 has had some good moments for me. So I don't know if you're watching, but it's had some good moments for me. And so this month, September, is Suicide Prevention Month. And I just wanted to talk and just be very candid tonight with you all and talk about being kind and supportive to one another. And so I wanted to start off talking about something that we're all familiar with that I think was just a total shock for all of us this year. And that was the passing of Chadwick Boseman. And that was a shock for a lot of us. And the number one shock was, wow, how could this man do what he was doing in spite of everything he was going through? And sometimes what we're going through, it's all about how we react to it and push through in spite of it. Or we can allow that thing that we're experiencing to bring us shame, to bring us defeat, to cause mental health issues, to cause depression, and ultimately can cause us to become suicidal. And one of the myths of suicide is that people often think that, the suicidal person is very selfish. And although some of that could have some truth to it, sometimes people also think that if someone committed suicide, they can't be afraid of death, they must be morbid. And those are the thoughts that we generally think. But suicide can come knocking at anyone's door. And one of the things that really stood out to me with the passing of Chadwick Boseman was just the end of his life and how we came to know after what actually happened, what he was going through. And can we just give it up for his team and his closest people that nobody shared his truth, nobody betrayed his trust, nobody tried to sell his story to the media, nobody. None of us knew what was going on with him until he passed. So just imagine, and I remember reading a story of one of the actors that was working with him. And one of the things they said was that, they were starting to think that Chadwick was a little cocky. He was, getting massages after the sets and he was getting acupuncture. And they started to feel like, this man kind of acting like he got it going on. Like you take all of that after every set. But then once the person realized what he was actually going through, felt horrible. Just even in his thought process, like he didn't share that with anyone else at the time, with other than his wife, I believe it was. But just in his thought process, he started to feel like, wow. And here I was thinking that he was doing this. This man actually probably was doing that because of the pain he was enduring and continuing to do what he loved to do and sharing his gifts with the world. And so it made me start to think about, again, in light of National Suicide Prevention Month, just our support of one another. Because one of the things that really saddened me, which I thought was just so disgusting, was, some pictures that were going around the internet, and it was very noticeable that Chadwick had began losing weight and, kind of looking like there may have been something going on with him. And there were memes going around saying, he was Crack Panther instead of Black Panther. And what I have to say to that is this. I know that culturally, a lot of times we enjoy a good laugh, and sometimes that's even how we get through tough times, is we laugh it off, we crack on each other, and I am guilty. Those who know me well know that I love to laugh, I love to crack jokes, but all jokes aren't good jokes. And sometimes we really need to be sensitive to what someone else is going through, because I can only imagine in the last days of his life, his close friends and family who knew what he was enduring, and to see such comments from fans, from people who once admired him, and now we're thinking that there was something going on, or maybe he was suffering from an addiction. A lot of times we put our mouth on things that we don't know or have a clue about. And we can do a lot more damage than good. And we're just not being kind and supportive to one another. And so back to the myth that I was talking about when it comes to suicide, we assume that these people are morbid and that they are, just want to face death head on. When the truth of the matter really is that those persons who have decided to commit suicide thought that living was more unbearable than death. And I just want you to let that sink in for a moment, because a lot of times, when things are going well in our lives, we cannot identify when people are facing pain day in and day out. And it's not even for us to judge how much pain they're in. Because what may be painful for me may not be painful for the next person. And what may be painful for them may not be painful for me. But I cannot assess and say, well, she should be over this. Sis, come on, you got to get it together. You should be over this by now. That is not for me to say. And so sometimes when we do that, and we've all had that experience when we share our truth with somebody and they just throw it out, don't address it, or say something negative about it. And what does that make you do? It makes you clam up. It makes you not want to share. It makes you shut down. And when you're already having some mental health issues, when you're already having some suicidal thoughts, it makes you want to follow your thoughts. Now, am I saying that that is the best way to handle issues? 100 times not. That is not what I'm saying at all. But what I am saying is that we need to be sensitive because we do not know the thoughts of those people that are around us. I have been shocked to find some people that have said that they have tried to commit suicide or that they have even thought about committing suicide. Some of the strongest people, some of the seemingly most confident people, some people that we know and love, we would never imagine that that's their story. But there was such a heavy, hard, difficult time in their life that they felt like suicide would be the best choice. And oftentimes, like I said, we think that these people are selfish when they really think that they are doing their family and friends, they're doing better by them by no longer being here with them. A lot of times they feel like they are a bother. They feel like they are a problem child. They feel like, they are a burden to those who love them most. And so it is very important that we are kind and that we are supportive to one another. So there's just a couple things that I just wanted to talk about and be candid. And I understand Chadwick not telling people, because sometimes when you tell people something and you're trying to fight that battle and you're trying to fight it in faith and you're trying to fight it the best way you know how, it really does something to you when other people are speaking negatively or other people are bringing up stories of someone they knew that had the same type of cancer. And I can say this because I can personally relate. When my husband and I know that I've shared this publicly, when my husband was diagnosed with cancer, and the very first time we shared with no one. We shared with only the elders at our church at the time. We shared with them. And that was it in our family. And so it was even a shock to some of our closest friends what was going on with my husband at the time. And why did we do that? So I completely understand that state of mind to say, I'm not going to share. Why did we do that? A couple of reasons. Why is because we wanted to fight in faith and we wanted to fight in confidence, and we did not want naysayers coming our way saying this is what you ought to do for this is what you ought to do for that, and research this. And because a lot of people become doctors by Mr. Google. And they look at Google and they think they have all of the answers for you, and we just wanted to fight it in our own way with prayer and with faith. And so sometimes people, just by words that they say, and I'm saying all of this because I want you to be very cognizant about how are you responding when someone is sharing a truth with you of their pain, something that they're going through. What is your response? Are you making that person feel like you are a safe place? That they are welcome to share more information with you? Or are you making them shut down and go deeper in despair? So think about what are some of those things that you're doing, because you never know what those people are thinking that you turn away in conversation and say, oh, it's not that serious. Come on now, I thought we were over that. You're still walking through that journey? I thought we were past that. You never know what you're saying, how that is affecting that person, and what their next moves they're planning to be. And so it is important that we are watchful, about what it is that we're saying, and that we take some time to think before we speak. And so I just wanted to, and this is not going to be a long show tonight, but I wanted us to be aware of what we're saying to people. If you take nothing else from this tonight, I want you to think about, are you thinking before you speak? When someone shares, because first of all, I want you to even think of the mindset of someone that has really built up within themselves the boldness to share with you. Because for some people, that's not easy. For some of us, transparency and being vulnerable, we know how risky that is. And so it takes a lot for some of you to even get to that place where you're able to be vulnerable and where you're able to share your truth with someone else. And then when you do that, in the way that person responds, can either lead you in two directions. It could lead you to freedom, where you're feeling secure, where you're feeling like you've been heard, where you're feeling like that person understands and gets where you are and you feel encouraged. Or you can feel beat up on. You can feel defeated. You can feel like no one is there to support you. You can feel isolated. And so a lot of times the question always is, but there were so many people around that person. Why didn't they just say something? Why didn't they just say how they were feeling? I can almost guarantee you they tried at some point. And perhaps the persons that they were talking to did not have the right answers for them. Now, does this mean that sometimes some people still go ahead and commit suicide even though they have the support systems in place? Yes, that happens. But what I'm talking about tonight is this. Are we being are we adding to the problem when it comes to mental health issues? When it comes to even making jokes about people that we have no idea what they're actually going through internally? Are we adding to the problem? Are we helping to be a part of the solution? Are we being that safe place? And sometimes you may not know the right things to say. You know what I love to share with people is this. If you don't know what to say, and I have been guilty of saying the wrong thing, but when you don't know what to say, a lot of times you do more damage than good by saying the wrong thing. And so sometimes it's better to just sit with the person, even if you're sitting in silence. That person knows that they have your full support because you're there. Not necessarily everything that comes out of your mouth, because sometimes, even though we have great intentions, we say the wrong thing. You know, when people are going through a loss, I've shared this before publicly too, when my husband and I lost our daughter. um, you know, I was just amazed at some of the comments that people were saying to us. That looking back on it, I really do think that they had great intentions. They just didn't know what to say. And sometimes when you don't know what to say, it's best that you say nothing. Because even though that person, because they're hurting at that point, they may not respond, it's still going in their mind and they're replaying what it is that you said. And so you want to make sure that your words that you're saying to them are words of encouragement, are words that edify them, are words that encourage and give them strength. And that's something that I think as a society, we all can do a better job of doing, is being more kind to one another. I mean, I'm just always shocked at what people do and say behind social media. You know, people make up these fake pages and they come for people and they are, saying the wrong thing to people and commenting about how they look and how they, what they have on. And it's things that we would not even say to someone if we were to see them face to face. So I don't know where we get that we can just be unkind to someone just because we're behind a computer. So tonight, the tea really is about, how are you being supportive? How are you being a friend to those who may be struggling in an area? If someone has confided in you about something that they're struggling with, or, they really feel like they're going through depression, or they really feel anxiety, or they really feel just like they're in a very dark place, what is your response? I will tell you this. I have a cousin who, when my husband and I lost our daughter, and it just moved me so when she said this, because I don't think many people would even think to do this. But what she said is, when my husband and I, when our daughter passed, she said this. She said, I got on Google because I didn't want to say the wrong thing. She said, so I looked up, how do you respond to someone who has just lost a child? What do you say? And that for me was just like, wow. The fact that first you admitted that you didn't know what to say, and you took the time to actually look up what is the right thing to say and what is the wrong thing to say. That meant so much to me, because she could have just said whatever she felt led to say and could have been dead wrong. And so if you don't know the right thing to say, stop and pray about it. Think about before you speak. If you have to get on Google and say, how should I respond? Maybe you'll have to say, you know what? I'm just going to pray for you. I don't really know what that's like. Let's get together and have another conversation about this before you say something that just totally drives the person the wrong way. I would rather you do that than say the wrong thing. And so this is all about supporting one another and being kind to one another. And what does that make you do? It makes you clam up. It makes you not. I'm sorry, guys. I was trying to look on my phone to see if I had comments, because I told y'all last week, and I don't know why my comments are not coming up as they should. So I'm trying to follow them on my phone, but then that plays that gives some feedback. So I apologize for that. But I didn't want to be before you long tonight. I am going to take a sip of my tea. So I will look at the comments if there are questions. And there is something about, guys, about healing well. And that's why I say I position women to heal well, because you can think you're healed in an area, and then there's something, a trigger happens, and you're right back where you started. Or another situation presents itself that has a lot of similarities to what you've already experienced, and you again right back where you began. And so there's a lot to be said for healing well. There are so many issues when it comes to mental health issues, and people experiencing so many different things, especially in light of what is going on with the pandemic. It just has heightened things and made things that much worse. And so that's why it's important for us to really think about what we're saying before we say them. Really think about that. And although some issues that we experience may be invisible, our support of one another does not have to be. We can really try to do a better job of supporting each other, reaching out. And sometimes it's just as simple as, when someone crosses your mind, reach out to them. Because I believe that that's God saying, you know what, that person may just need to hear from you. And that is something that I am trying to do a better job of doing myself, because I know sometimes life can get busy, but I want the people to know who are closest to me how close they are to me, how much I value them. And so I'm trying to do a better job of being that support system for those within my inner circle. And so I would encourage you to do the same. So if there's questions, I'm going to try to peek on here. I don't know if I can do it without any feedback. I know that there's some of you watching, and I thank you for doing that. Let's see if I can pull it up. All right, I can't pull it up without giving the feedback from it. So I'm going to have to research why this program is not showing my comments and see what I can do on my end for technical support. Um, but I hope you guys, like I said, I will go back and review the comments. If there is something that I can be in prayer with you about, I would be honored to do that. So let me know if there's something that I can pray with you on. You can always send me a message. I will be happy to do that. Thank you. My husband is showing me the comments. Thank you, sweetie. Thank you, Tori. Thank you, Juan Leah, for being here. And thank you, Dad. I'm glad that it was a powerful message. I appreciate that. And it was just a simple message on my heart. But like I said, in light of Suicide Prevention Month, I think it is something that needs to be said. Because if Chadwick Boseman was not an example, I don't know what is. You never know what the person next to you is going through. You never know what they're experiencing. And we just always have to have that thought in the back of our mind. When you see someone lose weight, I will tell you this, and I disclosed this publicly on one of my videos that I did, and I've been going live on my page since Sunday, every day. And one of the things I shared is when I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I remember one time somebody was saying, "Girl, you keep losing so much weight." And somebody said, "Well, what are you on a crack? Are you on a crack diet?" And they said, "What are you doing? Because whatever you're doing, I want to do what you're doing." And I said, "No, you don't want this. I promise you, you don't want this." And I just laughed it off. And I consider myself to have pretty thick skin. But for some people, that could have really destroyed them. So sometimes what we see again as jokes, all jokes aren't good jokes. If you're concerned, it's okay to say, "I notice you've been losing a lot of weight. Is everything okay?" And if that person wants to share, you've given them the opportunity to do so. But we just want to be careful about how we're saying things, how we're responding, and what we're saying, even when we have good intentions. Because sometimes our good intentions aren't good enough. And we're doing a disservice to someone who is hurting, to someone who is experiencing pain or any type of trauma. So, as your healing coach, it's very important to me to share this message with you because I believe that we all have a role that we can play in helping people who are experiencing these types of issues. And so it's an important conversation to me, and I'm glad that you found this conversation to be important as well. And I hope that you will just review in your mind, even maybe some people that you may have to go back and apologize to. You may have to go back and say, "You know what, when you shared that, I didn't respond the right way. I apologize." And so we really want to be careful about what it is that we're saying to those who are in pain and to those who are bold enough and loving enough to share their truth with us, because no one has to do that. People are saying, "Well, I don't understand why he didn't tell the world he didn't have to. He didn't know us. we, he did not have to share anything with us." Obviously, the people who were closest to him knew exactly what was going on with him, and that's our choice as well. So consider it an honor when people share their truth with you, because they don't have to. You are not owed that at all. So consider that an honor and be watchful and careful and protect what you do with their information, how you handle it. Be careful and protect that. And so that is all I have for tonight. Again, I'll go back and I will look if there's comments, if there's questions. If you need prayer, I am happy to do that for you. If you know that you feel like I do need to heal some areas, I have experienced some things and I feel stuck, I feel bound, I don't feel whole, I don't feel free to be authentically who God called me to be, I'd love the opportunity to chat with you. And so I will in the comments as well put a link so that you can book a free 30-minute call with me. I love the opportunity to do that and to see how I can help you. Because again, I firmly believe that every woman deserves to be healed, to be whole, and to be free in every area of their lives. So until next Thursday, I hope that you guys are enjoying your little hug in a cup. Y'all see my tea is my love language cup. I love this cup. I hope that you all enjoy the rest of your evening. And don't forget, before you respond, think about what you're saying. Think about the person that you're talking to. How are they going to receive it? And don't be a part of the problem. Be a part of the solution and help it make those who are going through pain, provide them a safe place. Have a great night. I'll see you next Thursday.